What I will say to New Yorkers is that they have a commitment from me in this role as a deputy mayor of public safety, deputy mayor for public safety, that I will ensure that when they come into New York City, that they are safe and that they feel safe, and that we're going to continue to drive down crime.
Daughtry's job is to coordinate city law enforcement agencies on public safety matters.
You do have some critics who say that you have risen through the ranks into managerial positions without having the managerial experience, and they equate that to your relationship with the mayor, a friendship and a professional relationship, as well as your friendship and professional relationship with the former Chief of Department, Jeffrey Maddrey. What do you say to your critics?
Like I said before, I'm focused on providing the services, the essential services that they need for New Yorkers. What I'm asking New Yorkers for is to look back at all the things I've done as a deputy commissioner for operations, the assistant as assistant commissioner, and my time as a not only as a New Yorker but as a police officer. I get stuff done.
And Deputy Mayor Daughtry.
All right, enough of that.
Eric Adams taught him well.
Mike, what do you think about PPO Daughtry now being the deputy mayor and this interview? What he just had to say here?
It's a disgrace, man. Like, he obviously has not a clue what to do. He didn't have a clue what to do when he he's still the NYPD, but when he was suited up, what did he do? He flaked collars and got thrown out of Brooklyn court, was never allowed to testify again. That's the guy you want to be the deputy mayor of New York City's public safety? Dude, it's just you said it before, Eric. It's like everything upside down in New York City. It's bizarro land.
What do you think of his performance? I mean, like, I agree. It was definitely given to him, the questions. I probably think there were a couple of takes on the questions. I mean, he sounds like a bumbling idiot. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. And what are we looking back on at his time as a police officer, that he lied, that he flaked collars? What are we looking back? That he drove Jeffrey Maddrey to go do the dirty? Tabitha's on here often. She says exactly what Kaz Daughtry was doing. Right? What are we looking back on at his time as a police officer? I'm looking back at a time someone that should have been fired. I'm looking at a police officer that should never been promoted to third grade detective. I'm looking at a police officer that should have never rose to the rank of first grade detective. All he did was do like white glove service, driving Jeffrey Maddrey and Eric Adams around. Eric Adams while he was campaigning, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm saying, what'd you do? Then he makes assistant commissioner. What'd he do besides attack this podcast? Send criminals after it? Utilize the CRT team? What did he do? The drone program? Shark Week?
Rob, shout out to our brother Rob Luke.
What do you do? Look, what do you do? What do you do? How did Shark Week work out? Spring's coming up. What do you do?
We had drones going. You need drones out in the ocean. Rob Luke says, Eric, his bed sheets have a bigger patch. There's no doubt about it. And that's what I'm saying. Listen, I have no problem if you're not the best speaker. And that's okay. But what I do appreciate is humility. And that's where he should own it. Because he didn't even answer the question. He should have just been honest and said, yes, Jeffrey Maddrey was my mentor. Eric Adams, I have a close relationship. They have helped me propel my career, and I'm appreciative and I'm thankful that I'm in this position. That's not what he says. He's saying that he gets stuff done. And what he's saying is he gets more stuff done than his counterparts that he didn't have to go through the same grind, but he got more done than they did. That's where I have a major problem. It's an epic fail because what did you do just to say you got stuff done? Mike Smith retired from the squad. He got stuff done. Marlon was an FIO. He got stuff done. John, you were running a whole unit throughout the entire city. You got stuff done. I was a special operations lieutenant. I got stuff done. We weren't elevated by rocket fuel. He needs humility, and that he doesn't have. There's no doubt. It's an epic fail. Answer the questions. Be descriptive and depictive. Let us know who you are. Not through Eric Adams. He didn't even answer the questions at all. Epic fail.
Dude, I saved the city millions of dollars, and Kaz Daughtry spent millions of dollars. There's a huge difference there, right? Like, nobody's getting their crumbs under me. Everybody's getting their crumbs.
Did you have embroidery, John? Did you have a?
I didn't have any embroidery. I didn't have any embroidery, nothing. Marlon, what'd you think about that interview, dude? Oh, and here's, by the way, up on the screen, we got the host of the One Tough podcast to listen to, Bo Dito, DEA President Scott Monroe, now DEA President Scott Monroe, and former DEA President Paul DiGiacomo, all happily celebrating Eric Adams at his win when he wins the race. So this is his victory party. They're all so happy. Everybody's very happy. Rumored to have held fundraiser for him, actually, as they're telling you guys to switch to Democrat to vote for Eric Adams, because he's going to be good for the department when he has gave the department the biggest black eye that we've had since the Marlon Commission. So I think, what a slap in the face to New Yorkers and to the New York City Police Department. Marlon, what'd you think about that interview from the now Deputy Mayor Kaz Daughtry?
Well, you notice every couple of months there's a new fluff piece for Kaz, and it always begins Kaz Daughtry, new title, is settling into his role, right? Every 6 months, because this guy gets promoted so often, In fact, he looked like he had to think about his title when she asked him, because he was like, I'm the deputy mayor, pause, public safety. He gets promoted so much he doesn't even know what his role is today, But listen, by his own metrics as the assistant commissioner and as a deputy commissioner in the NYPD, what did he accomplish? John is spot on. What did you accomplish? CRT, we all know the controversies with CRT, the accidents they've gotten into, you got that guy who died from that being blocked by the RMP, and then you have the numerous lawsuits that are going to be involved in that. That unit is being, as far as we know, it's been broken up and we believe it's going to just be renamed with the Q teams, but it still stands that the unit is going to be broken up right now. Okay, now let's look at this drone program. Where are the drones right now? Is there a working drone on top of every NYPD precinct right now?
No.
Huh? Yeah. where the drones?
How much money did we spend on the drones?
He was supposed to do.
Let's get into the money just for equipment, right? Just for equipment. Look at the equipment. Look at the embroidery of Shell, Caban. Daughtry is the worst. I'm saying he's 6 figures over just on his own personal stuff. Never mind what his teams. God only knows what the teams are getting in embroidery. God only knows what they're not paying for, that regular cops are paying for. I guarantee uniform items that regular cops are paying for, the people that work for them are not paying for them. They're being given to them. Boots, pants, jackets, vest covers, things like that. Guaranteed. Hats. God only knows. Challenge coins, right? Remember the challenge coins? I don't think that's coming out of anybody's pocket, right? So like when we look at that equipment, like the drones alone, what did we say they were? I think we said they were like somewhere of like 25,000 to 50,000 each, dependent on the model. That's with the warranty, right? And I think they had a fleet of about 100 that they were going to bump up to about 200. But that's the minor expense in it, right? Now take all the guys they took off patrol to watch sharks in their natural habitat. While we have lifeguards and FDNY that already do that. So they did that. They watched sharks in their natural habitat. Then they moved them over to where they were going to monitor trains where kids were subway surfing on. That's not happening anymore. To my knowledge, that's not happening at all anymore. We had a whole team set up, and they were just flying a drone from one stop to the other, back and forth all day. Right? Now, what's the money in that to employ these people, to give them overtime, money towards their pension, all that stuff. But the other thing that nobody's talking about is they set up numerous command centers to run these things. Numerous. So the NYPD builds like this temporary makeshift command center, and it's not really temporarily or makeshift. It's a beautiful thing that they put together for them to be able to operate the drones from the roofs of the precincts autonomously from one police plaza. That never happens. We're not even talking about that. So we built this whole command center. And then Kaz is like, no, I want a whole new command center, a bigger one. And they're working on building that too. When we look at that drone program, I'm going to say probably $35 million. Easy, without even blinking. It might be even closer to $100 million in the drone program, something that we said originally was going to go the way of the transit robot, because we remember how that went. And that's exactly what happened? Where are the drones? Has anyone seen the drones since Kaz Daughtry has been appointed deputy mayor?
And what we don't talk about a lot of times is, especially the drones, it requires a lot of maintenance and repair. And maintenance and repairs is a high cost. We don't talk about that at all. But what Marlon, what you actually, I just want to reflect and piggyback on what you said, because you're absolutely spot on, that he gets promoted so much by rocket fuel that he's never in a position long enough for these programs to actually make it to its full fruition or even ferment. If we actually said, you know what, his ideas are good ideas and this program may work, we'll never even see these programs actually play out because he's on to his next position. You're right. He's been promoted so much by rocket fuel that he doesn't even know what position he's in anymore. He can't even identify his title. He probably has to go through his closet and go, oh, that's the wrong title. Let me get the right title, the right embroidery on my shirt. So there's no doubt about it. I mean, Vaughn, I think that you're spot on. I mean, when we talk about this drone program, we had a whole display. John, remember a whole press conference where we had a police officer catching the drone, a whole show about subway cars, how this is going to be a block on social media, that, this whole plan that they have to stop the subway cars, and poof, we don't hear nothing about it anymore. Does that program even exist? And the answer is probably no. And Mike, you're spot on. We haven't heard any information to the public on what is the cost of the taxpayer for this drone program. What's the maintenance and repair? We don't hear anything about it. Nothing. What's the audit? I think there should be, if anything, there should be a DOGE effort. Immediately, it would be on manpower and the drone program. Absolutely. This would be the first thing they should put their fingerprints on, especially when it comes to Shark Week, watching sharks in their natural habitat. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Crazy. Mom, what do you think about just the maintenance and repair? The fact that just the cost of that alone. I mean, they have an entire unit addressed to this drone program, and we don't even hear anything about it. What's the effectiveness? What type of byproduct? What did it yield? What's the outcomes? What difference is it with the drones or without the drones? We haven't heard any comparisons. Never. Not once with Jessica Tish do we hear, hey, this is what was effective about the drone program, and here's where we are now, especially when she's the technology commissioner. We haven't heard a word about that.
They're not using them anymore. The whole program fell to its face. The drone as a first responder is gone. It's over. That's it. We spent probably $100 million on it, and it's over. Yeah. Right?
And you'll never hear about it because.
Does anyone think that this is going to be something that you're going to see in the future?
Nope.
No.
You can't do it for policing. I mean, what was their bright idea to have it show up at your house for a 911 call? Like, that's ridiculous. That was actually a ridiculous statement that they made. Like, it'll show up to your house for a non-emergency 911 call. Who wants to talk to a drone from your home?
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be used the same way that it was used before Kaz Daughtry was an assistant commissioner. Taru's going to use it when we have hostage barricaded. They're going to use it the same way we've been using it for a decade. Kaz Daughtry didn't invent anything. He was like the drone commissioner. Shark Week might return in the spring to get another fluff piece.
Well, you know
Shark Week.
What happened, right? You know what really happened to drive this drone program up. You guys called him out on playing PS5, and all of a sudden he had to swap it for a drone controller, and there you go. The drone unit started.
No, Mike, you're the only person that ever said that. Nobody ever goes back to that point. That's how insane this kid is.
That's a fact.
That is a fact. What happened? I made fun of a PlayStation controller on Kaz Daughtry's desk when a kid who supposedly got jammed up, went to Kaz Daughtry's office and made him a plaque, and he went to see Kaz Daughtry. So Kaz Daughtry takes a picture of the kid with the plaque in his office, and there's a PlayStation 5 controller on his desk. So everybody knows there's a big private Call of Duty chat with a private Call of Duty game going on with Kaz Daughtry and the CRT, and they play it all night while they're at work, right? Well, I don't know anymore, but at the time they were doing that. So I said, hey, nice PlayStation controller, something like that, and I retweeted it. So Kaz Daughtry crops the photo out, takes the photo down, retweets the photo now with a cropped out photo. So I put up the original photo. I said, nice cropped out photo with the controller. And then he goes out and he makes an entire video.
Yeah.
And he starts off and he's on the side on his desk. in a Captain America chair in One Police Plaza. I was actually going to buy the chair. I was like, I'm not going to waste my money. But I was going to buy the chair. And he's like this. And he's like, oh, hello there. I bet you thought I was playing Call of Duty. Well, I wasn't. And he goes on to proceed to show everybody an Xbox controller, which controls the drones. But what was actually on his desk was a PlayStation 5 controller.
Oh, hey! I bet you probably thought I was playing a video game. I don't know, maybe something like Call of Duty. Actually, I'm not. I'm using this controller here from Manhattan at One Police Plaza, controlling drones on top of the 47th precinct. They're in our infancy stages, but the goal is we're going to be utilizing these drones for public safety and beach safety. We're going to deploy these drones on a beach. The pilots will be flying up and down the beach, keeping beach goers and swimmers safe. The goal is this summer, there's going to be a payload on this drone that, God forbid, if somebody's having an emergency in the water, whether it be if they're caught in a riptide, whether it be if they're drowning, the payload, the drone operator, can hit a button. It will drop what's called a rush tube. As soon as that tube hits the water, it opens up into a flotation device. Just as our Honorable New York City Police Commissioner Edward Caban has stated, he will continue to utilize new technology to keep all New Yorkers safe.
And it sparked this whole media frenzy of how they're going to do the drone as a first responder program. I mean, that was probably one of the funniest things ever. Like, yeah. Honestly, and Marlon made so many funny memes during that time. I was like crying every day. Like, he would put a meme, and there were tears in my eyes. Like, it was so funny. That was the funniest time. But that's how the drone as the first responder. That's why $100 million in New York City was spent. It was because Kaz was butthurt because he got caught with a PlayStation controller on his desk. Another thing that you taxpayers probably bought for him.
That's exactly why the program started. Mike, I'm so happy that you called that out, because when we called him out for that PlayStation controller, that's when it really started to perpetuate, and this drone program took off. And it really was to defend his own ego. They couldn't just own it and say, yeah, I play PlayStation in my office sometimes on my break. But that's what's the problem with this administration. They never own anything. They double down and they fight everything because they're little kids. They have complete insecurity, no masculinity, and there's no ability in their leadership to just own things. Even when, just to reflect on something, when John Shell got caught dozing off for a second, he should have just owned it and said, hey, I work all night, and they have me in the morning doing a meeting, and doze off for 2 seconds. But instead, they push back because they have such weak, insecure egos. But that's what we're dealt with. That's the leadership under Mayor Eric Adams. This is what we got here, right? This is what we're left with, Marlon.
Like you say, to own it, right? Or he could actually be a man and take care of himself, right? And actually, if he can't be the part, he could at least look the part a little bit, right? Because presence is pretty much everything. Kaz also, like, if you guys want to go around eating all night and passing out and falling asleep at meetings, how about you hit the gym for 45 minutes to an hour and look presentable when you're out there in the media? Like, look presentable for the guys that you're supposed to be representing. Like, to me, that's one of the biggest things, bro. It kills me to see it.
I was going to say, are you guys ready to do it again? Because those drones are coming to the Parks Department, and I'm sure it's going to come to the Sanitation Department, too.
Good. Sanitation needs them, bro. Sanitation needs them.
Well, they keep flying over. They keep flying over my house in Staten Island. They keep flying over my house in Staten Island, so I'm sure we're going to get everybody, right? Because everybody's a big fan of the podcast. The Department of Building, Sanitation, Parks, they're all big fans. So, they want to make sure everything's good. Everything's on the up and up,
Yeah. Well, that's what's so interesting we talk about, right? So it's interesting, right? If Kaz Daughtry got stuff done and so effective as he says with this drone program, since he moved on as deputy mayor, if this program was so good, why didn't someone else in the police department take over this program? Why did it just kind of like waste away and exhaust itself? Why don't we have somebody in place that's now taken over the system that you so-called built? If you built this effective drone program system, this drone first responder program that they have, why did someone take it over? Why is someone not standing up saying, hey, Kaz Daughtry paved the way for this drone program. Now I've taken over, and here's where we're moving forward. We haven't heard a word about it. You know why? It's because what you said, John, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anymore. Because really, that's what it was. Mike, thank you so much for calling out. It was combating New York's Financial Title Filter podcast because they got caught for the PlayStation, and this thing just went on. It fermented and went into this this big show to just completely protect their egos. And now that he's the deputy mayor of public safety, who knows tomorrow what title he'll be, that program is gone.
So we know that this administration cannot handle funds, right? So if DOGE is looking at the funds, obviously we know about the whole scandal with the Craylo program, right? It's rumored that the Craylo program, the confidential rental auto leasing program, which is the NYPD utilizes to rent and lease vehicles that look like everyday vehicles, not with lights and sirens, that were being misused so that a certain deputy commissioner or assistant commissioner or other people could have 7 of them assigned to them when they were supposed to be used for confidential purposes, undercover operations, stings. So those were being completely utilized so that friends and family of Eric Adams could drive fancy cars with taxpayer-funded insurance and registration. So we know that was a huge misuse of millions of dollars. It was completely corrupt. Good job by Pam Bondi and Donald Trump for not looking at that at all. That's definitely efficient government. So but now it comes out that the patrol cars are in terrible shape. And patrol and precinct cars and vans, the fleet is diminished. It's unsafe. And what does Jessica Tisch say? It's due to underinvestment. Underinvestment from who? Like, what do you think about that, Mike? What do you think?
Oh, I'll tell you right now. I've been to the Queens building many times. There's thousands of brand new cars in saran wrap that no one's using, and they're letting patrol ride around in the hoopties that are definitely dangerous, man. They're dangerous to put these cops in every day to go do these routine patrols. It's not right. And I always ask that question. I never got an answer. Why aren't we using these saran wrap cars in Queens that are sitting there, nobody's touching? They're brand new. They're there. They're there to use. They could replace as many cars as they want. They won't. It's crazy. It's another crazy backwards NYPD thing that they do. All these brand new cars that nobody could use.
That program, first of all, is completely out of whack, and this administration has done nothing about it other than just enjoy the fruits for the upper echelon of the police department. We have rumored credible information that Kaz Daughtry, while he was assistant commissioner and also deputy commissioner, that he was having his kids transport around while he doesn't even live in New York City, that before he would get to work, he would go present for duty and his kids would be transported to school. He would do his dry cleaning from these Craylo cars. 75%, it's actually more than 75% of the marked cars for the NYPD are far surpassed their lifespan. It's completely unsafe right now. That they're, from what I read, approximately 44 to 60 months over their lifespan of what is the utilization for the NYPD. Because there's certain criteria of how long a police car should be used and how long it's considered safe. Obviously, because it's used 24 hours a day, 3 different tours. It's used by different drivers. So these cars, they get beaten up a lot different than your own personal car. For anybody who watches active retired law enforcement, NYPD, or anywhere in the country, you understand that. If you're just a police enthusiast, think about it. These cars are going all day with different drivers, different speeds, depending on the calls. The lifespan of these cars is far shorter than what you would have with your car at home.
And you guys know that precinct mechanic is awesome at his job, right? Like he does the awesome job taking care of those cars that he should be doing every day.
Right. There's no doubt about it, right? And that's a good point to make up, because we have such a shortage, and there's a staffing crisis, right? And there's a shortage of cars. Every time you put a car out there to get fixed, the turnaround time has to be quick to get that car back on the road. We don't have enough cars. So are those cars going through the actual maintenance and repairs that they need to? Are they being properly inspected? This is a major safety hazard right now. Major. You know what? If God forbid, a cop gets hurt because the mechanics of these cars, that's a major lawsuit, and that's another burden on the taxpayer.
You've just watched a clip from our live episode. Click the description to watch the full episode. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this.